So absolutely, we're looking at new areas of to enhance our vulnerability scanning into additional platforms, network devices, IoT devices, we talked a little bit about earlier, and new security capabilities. So yeah, a lot coming.
Good. Mateus is asking, what's your view of the Latin American IT cyber market? And what are the biggest challenges that Syxsense sees with its partners around the world?
So the market, as I look at it, I think is developing. But it's a little bit behind the US, certainly in the governmental compliance areas, and I think that will come. But I would advise organizations to get ahead of government regulations and government compliance, because it's just good practice to have good cyber hygiene.
Yeah.
And if a breach occurs, the cost to your organization can be huge. So it's better to have strong defense rather than have to deal with a mess afterwards.
Yeah. The costs and the consequences are tangible and intangible, right?
Yep.
Could be literally like financial loss of revenue and so on, or lawsuits, or it could be intangible, like your brand might lose a lot of value. People may not perceive you as a trustworthy, player or supplier in the market. So definitely. And one thing we know in Brazil and other emerging markets, that there's always lagging, right?
Yep.
Technology that we see in the US, in Israel, coming, cutting edge things, we know it's gonna at some point come to us, right? At some point it's gonna become our reality. So regulations, laws is the same thing.
Yep.
We might not have such a strong hold on what our regulations are and the consequences, but we know for sure they're coming. Right? So it's better to be prepared ahead of time, right?
AI is a great example, right? We talked earlier about some of the things that we're doing in AI, but of course the attackers are also using AI. And so what we're seeing...
It's a cat and mouse.
It is, yeah, absolutely. And what we're seeing is the attackers are using AI to actually go and write attacks. And so after a vulnerability gets publicly exposed, they're using ChatGPT and other technologies to actually write code to actually attack. Mm-hmm. And even though OpenAI have put in guardrails to try and protect against this, they're pretty easy to get around if you know what you're doing. So you can change the prompt. It's interesting if you go to ChatGPT and tell it to go and write a remote access tool to get into a device, it'll tell you, sorry, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But by simply changing the prompt and saying that you're an IT technician who's trying to solve a problem with an end user and you need to be able to remote control their screen, it might let you get through, right? So then that's what they're doing. They keep tweaking the prompts to get around the guardrails and get the outcome that you're actually looking for. So attackers are using that technology, and therefore they are more rapidly attacking organizations when a vulnerability is disclosed. You used to have 30, 60, 90 days to deploy a patch. Now, after a vulnerability is disclosed, it's weaponized within 24 hours. Yeah. So you don't have the time anymore. And that's really, I think, where automation is key. And that's another kind of key piece of what we've developed at Syxsense, is the ability to actually automate the security response. So as new patches get released by the vendors, you can use our automation system to immediately start deploying those patches to your endpoints and most vulnerable devices.